All right, welcome to Veterans Perspectives. In today's episode, a little bit different. The hard truth, why veterans like me need to tell our stories, even the ugly bits. Let's get started. First, our sponsor. You all know it's the Etsy store. I will leave the link down in the description. I actually just clicked on a 20% off sale for the whole store until Monday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, the 5th through the 8th. It'll go through Monday, so through the 8th. 20% off everything in the store. T-shirts, hoodies, crew necks, wall art, cups, mugs, and travel mugs for coffee, tea, whatever you drink. Yeah, we got all kinds of good stuff. New designs, old designs. Christmas is coming up. Before that, Thanksgiving, we got fall designs. Before that, we got Halloween stuff, personalized stuff for back to school and for whatever else you want. Buy something. It supports the channel. It supports me and my wife. We design everything. We use a print-on-demand company called Gelato that is amazing. We've been doing it for almost a year now, actually. And we love it. So definitely check it out. Link will be down in the bio. jkprintsgifts.etsy.com. Link in the description. All right, let's get started. So, veterans like myself need to tell our story. Now, I know some veterans out there are going, I don't need to do shit, Jeff. I don't have to tell anyone anything. And you're right, you don't. Okay, I'm not saying that we should be forced to tell our story or anything like that. That's ridiculous. I would never ever say anything like that. The reason why I'm making that statement we will get to as we discuss today. Okay, for those of you that are new, okay, and by the way, we hit a little milestone. We now have on Spotify, we have 500 downloads and or listens to this podcast. That's just Spotify only. I haven't found a tool yet that gives me cumulative numbers for everywhere. It's hard to keep track of that. So if anyone knows a tool, let me know. Not me. I know I'm a tool. So say Jeff's a tool down in the comments. But I would like to know. So if there is a website out there, something that accumulates everything, let me know. But for those of you who don't know, I'm a veteran with PTSD from combat. Served time in Iraq, OIF 1. I was in the Army for 8 years. Okay. Most of that time in the reserves, to be transparent. Okay? I'm not going to lie about my service. There's been a lot of that lately, right? There's been a lot of stolen valor. At least it's come across my feed a lot lately. I've always wondered why people do that. I don't. Like, I did water purification, storage, and distribution, man. That's what I did. I was Pauly Shore. But some people, some people embellish, right? But some people just straight up fucking lie. So, I did what I did, and I'm proud of it. Sometimes I'm not, and that's okay too. And I'm learning more about it, why we did it, how we did it, who we did it to, stuff like that. And that's why I think it's important. Okay. I still keep parts of my story locked up, right? Tighter than our foot locker, right? Like a basic training or a wall locker. That some of y'all had. Like, I think I had a wall locker. Like, it was 1999 when I went to basic training. I'm an old man. But we carry that weight as veterans. We carry that weight. Now, I'm not talking about me being fat, because I carry a lot of weight. But the weight of memory, the weight of close calls, far off desert places, the stuff that still comes up as part of my personal PTSD, right? I know everyone is a little different, right? There's a lot of similarities in PTSD, but there's differences, right? I go back to that place a lot. right? That's part of my symptoms, right? There's stuff that I can't do because it brings me back to that place, and no amount of medicine is ever going to change that. No amount of pills that you shove down my throat is ever going to change that. So, but talking about it, letting people know about it, hopefully lets people that I care about, at the very least, understand it a little bit more, right? I've been there before, dodging the questions, giving the easy answers, pretending the past didn't happen, right? Keeping quiet can hurt more than it helps, right? And I get it, okay? It's hard for people like us to talk about it, right? And I'm not saying spill all the beans, right? Unless you want to. Because sometimes when one thing starts coming out, it all starts coming out. Right? And that's okay. But I'm not saying spill all your beans at one time, right? Because sometimes that could be overwhelming for your brain, for your mind, for your heart. And we can't handle that either, right? But our stories shouldn't just be heard. They deserve to be heard. By people in our community, the veteran community, our families, our greater communities, and the country that we served, right? For those of you that served in Iraq, I can't speak to Afghanistan because I did not serve there. I tried to go to Afghanistan. They told me no. They kept me with my unit. But for those of you that served in Iraq, that war is slowly being forgotten, right? And there are groups that are keeping that legacy, for lack of a better word, alive, but it's not talked about a lot because, we didn't win. Vietnam's talked about because they made 1 billion movies out of it, right? Because it had to do with the commies, right? And the Russians and stopping the spread of communism. And so many people died and it went on for so long, right? Well, the Iraq war went on for just as long. The Afghan war went on for just as long. And we were fighting international terrorism, or so they said. When's the last time you heard about those wars on the mainstream news? I have the news come across my desk every single day. Here in my loft where I'm sitting right now. And I couldn't tell you the last time I've seen news about the war I fought in. That's ridiculous. I'm not saying it's got to be there every day to make me feel good, right? But our government, and I'm going to be real with y'all. You can agree with me or disagree with me. Y'all know that I don't care about that. Our government is trying to actively forget about those wars because they know that they fucked up. There was no contingency plans for Iraq. There was no plans for sectarian violence, sectarian conflict. The hell, there was no rebuilding plan after we ousted Saddam from power. We just said, yeah, let the Iraqis figure it out. The Iraqis were like, yeah, let's get all the Ba'ath Party people out. Sunnis and Shiites were like, fuck that, we hate each other. Then you have the Sunni Triangle business, and they were like, we're going to start killing each other, and good luck stopping it. That's exactly what happened. And we had no fucking clue. From the top level, we had no clue of all the intelligence apparatus that we have We had no clue. None. So why do veterans stay silent? Part of it is it's easy, right? There's a million reasons not to talk, right? And they all feel like they're survival tactics. Talking can feel like you're stepping back into it, right? I remember the first time I went to therapy for my PTSD, and I've been going to therapy for years. I didn't want to talk about the war I fought in. It had to be coaxed out of me by my therapist. And still, I wouldn't talk about certain things. I still don't talk about certain things. Causes that gut-wrenching, heart-pounding, like you're back in that sandbox, right? Brain says, nah, bro. Nope. Don't go there. It's a fight or flight mechanism. Brain's trying to keep you safe. We all built those walls when we got home that were a mile high. We built those shields around our body. We put on that armor, right? My own personal battle with PTSD, it's a constant reminder of what went down, right? We made it even harder to pretend the past wasn't real. So you clam up, right? It feels like that if we don't say it out loud, it can't haunt you, right? Then, to me, this might be one of the bigger ones. There's a fear of being misunderstood. And I think veterans will understand this a lot. No one knows the experiences of war unless you've been to war. Civilians have no idea what war is like. Even if they've had family members who have been to war before. If you haven't been, you don't know. You don't know what you don't know, right? We say that in the education field all the time. It's one of the few adages that works. And it's the same with wartime experiences, right? You don't know what you don't know. And there's a lot of hurry up and wait in combat. There's a lot of high intensity and then downtime. High intensity, downtime. It's that constant flux, right? And that's hard. Like, it's hard. And my veterans out there who are listening to this know that firsthand, right? You're sitting there, like, for example, we used to do 12-hour shifts at the water point, right? At the main water point, right? We had several throughout the country, but you'd be off shift and maybe you had a duty, maybe you were burning shit or whatever, and all of a sudden a mortar strike comes in. There's your high intensity, 20, 30 minutes, right? And then, okay, I'm back on duty. Burning shit. And that's your downtime, right? That boom, boom, up, down. Most folks aren't gonna get that, right? Some people want to give you pity because they think that that's an inappropriate reaction, right? Or they think war is like Rambo, right? I love the Rambo movies, right? They're awesome, but war isn't like that. Right? They think it's all glory and heroics, right? And it might be for some people, but not very many. There's a reason why there's not a lot of Medal of Honors floating out there for people that are alive. Right? And then you get, and this is probably the worst one, that weird, awkward silence where you know the other person's thinking, what do I say now? And, you know, like it used to be where you were asked by somebody, so how was it? You shrug. And then we all answer, it was fine. It was hot. The sand was like moon dust. Shrug her shoulders. because the truth is too fucking complicated. It's not a straightforward war isn't linear. War is not linear for small talk. It's got turns, up, down, left, right. We went here for this reason, then we turned around and went back here for that reason. Blah diddy blah blah blah. It's not built for small talk, right? There's guilt. Some of us carry a lot of guilt. Survivor's guilt, maybe, for some of us, right? Guilt over the things we did or saw under pressure. Guilt over things we didn't do that we could have done, maybe, that we should have done. I dealt with guilt for years. Man, I should have done this. I should have taken that person's spot. Why didn't I do it this way? Right? You start playing the what if game. And I didn't think that was a thing. I was 22 years old when I deployed. Right? I thought I was the king of the fucking world. I thought I was untouchable, thought I was invincible. I was the cock of the walk. And then I got home. I was 23 when I got home because I was there for so fucking long. And I looked in the mirror when I got home and was like, the fuck just happened? Like, what the fuck just happened? And some of us wondered about, if you talked about it, are we dishonoring people who didn't make it back? Does it sound like I'm whining about my experiences when other people paid a higher price? And some of us don't talk about it because we want to protect our families. Our families don't need that baggage. Now, my family experience for war is different. Carrie and I didn't know each other. I wasn't married when I deployed. I didn't go through that. I didn't have kids when I was in the service, so I don't have that experience. I watched my friends go through it, some good, some bad, right? But when I first met my wife, my now wife, I was getting out of the Army. I was transitioning out. So she saw the very tail end, do the paperwork phase piece of my time in the military. There were no deployments. So she didn't live that life. And I buried a lot of shit that she didn't know about that came out years later. And she saw some shit and she was like, hey, you have to fucking talk to me. And that's when I broke some stuff down for her that she didn't know, that she didn't understand. She started navigating the VA system for me. Because one of my triggers is the VA, imagine that. But that silence before that was a wall in our relationship. So when I talking about our story, it doesn't need to be like this on a podcast or a public blog. It could just be with your significant other. Hey, let's talk about this. This is what I've seen. This is what I've done. What you're comfortable sharing, one step at a time. It wasn't easy to even tell my wife some of the shit I had done and seen and been through. She was, like at the time when I was still driving, like I don't even drive anymore. That's how bad I've gotten. I was probably like a lot of us that were in OIF 1 and 2, 1 through 3 probably went through this the most. And I know it tailed off a little bit after that. But I remember we were on the highway here in Phoenix, the fifth largest city in the country. And there was a box in the middle of I-17, a 5-lane highway at the time. And I was in the middle lane, and there was a box there, and I saw it, and I swerved across 3 lanes of traffic without looking. Pure instinct. Just turn that wheel. hard left. Went from the middle lane to the carpool lane without looking. Didn't decelerate any speed, nothing. 85 miles an hour. I was sweating, shaking, cold sweats. I thought that I was back in the box. I pulled the car over. There were 2 cop cars behind me. And one of them had his weapon drawn. I think he was a rookie because the other guy was like, put that shit away. And the older gentleman walked up to the window and asked me to roll down my window so he could talk to me. He didn't ask me to step out of the car. And he asked me if I was a veteran. And I said, yes, sir. And then he asked me if I had a weapon in the vehicle. I did not at the time. And then he asked me to step out. You know, he searched me, he did the whole thing. And then he talked to me. And my wife listened to the whole thing crying because she didn't know. And that police officer was kind enough, and he understood because he had been through it himself. But my wife didn't know about that because of the silence. So when I talk about talking about it, that's the stuff I mean. Not, hey, tell the whole world. I mean, you can, right? Like I just did. Because speaking up does matter, okay? Telling your story, it's not a magic fix. It's not going to fix all your fucking problems, right? But it's a starting point, right? It could start your healing. It could start whatever issues you might be having with your significant other to, at a bare minimum, start the understanding process. Because from that point on, my wife understood. And from that point on, my wife started driving more. So now we're at the point, right now, we have one vehicle for our family. That's all we do. That's all we can afford. I do not drive. I have the means to drive. I know how to drive. But I simply don't. Because she knows that shit is not good for me. So she says, hey, I'm driving. When we go out on a date, if that happens, honey, I love you. We'll plan a date soon. She's like, hey, I'm driving. That communication, as crazy as it was to get there, to get to that point, helped us figure that out. So putting words to what happened, it makes a little bit of sense of the chaos. Our brains are wired for stories, right? Human beings historically are storytellers, right? That's what I do. It's what I'm doing right now. It's what I do when I write the blog, which I will link in the description. You're all going to subscribe to it. The Substack will have the articles free for 1 week. And then it's $5 a month because I need to start getting paid. So support me. That's how I afford all this stuff. Or just go to the WordPress. It's free. So there'll be a free option and a paid option. So writing or talking it out is like sorting through a junk drawer. You guys probably have a junk drawer at home, right? You find what's in there. You see what's in there piece by piece. Oh, hey, I didn't know I had this. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Right? It doesn't get rid of the pain, but it gives it shape. Right? A beginning and an end. You had a start date and an end date to your deployment, right? What happened in the middle? Right? I have a master's in political science. It taught me how to break down complex systems. Our minds are no different. You can't fix what you don't face. Sharing gives us meaning to the mess, right? After seeing things most people can't imagine, you need to find a reason for it all. And that reason doesn't need to be a positive reason, right? It can be, hey, my government's fucked up. That's a reason, right? Telling your story turns pain into purpose, a wound into wisdom. For me, I think I went into teaching and teaching history because it helped me connect my experience to the bigger picture. Yeah, I'd always loved history when I was in school. When I went back to college, I was like, hey, I like these history classes. You know, I like my teachers. And I went to community college in California before I moved out here. I mean, hell, I deployed in the middle of a history class. And I came back, finished up, ended up going to Cal State Fullerton, and then we moved. And then I went to ASU after about a year and a half of living out here. I established residency. I was working in the financial sector, and then I met my wife, and then she was like, hey, you're meant for more than working for an online bank, buddy. And I went back to school, and I was like, okay, I think I really want to do this history teaching thing. And I started connecting a lot of what I was learning to what I was experiencing, to what I experienced. And that was kind of cathartic for me. It was healing for me. And that was part of my journey, right? It's not just surviving, it's growing from what you went through. It's also about owning who you are, right? The world loves to slap labels on veterans. Man, they love to slap labels on us. Hero, victim, broken vet. Fuck that. Screw that shit. I'm Jeff. I'm a husband, a dad, a teacher who happened to serve and got banged up doing it, Period. I served my country. My service fucked me up, but it doesn't define me. Don't let other people, other entities tell you what you are. But you have to reach that point. You have to get there. When you tell your story, remind other people and yourself that you're more than a stereotype. You're a full, complicated human being. Also, don't act like the stereotype. Don't be a vet bro. I see those people on TikTok all the time. They're fucking annoying. Well, back in my day, it was a lot harder. Shut up. Shut up. Sharing breaks down walls. Not like actual walls. Please do not punch dry walls, Kyle. His name's probably Kyle. But it breaks down mental barriers, mental walls. When you open up, even just to one person, you realize you're not alone. Another vet might nod and say, I get it. A civilian might surprise you with real empathy. That connection is a lifeline. Yeah, I felt it with Carrie, my veteran buddies. Even with students who ask the right questions, right? A lot of the students, the first thing they ask, did you kill anybody? Once we get past that, a lot of them used to ask really thoughtful questions. So why do our stories matter to everyone else? Some might say they don't. I don't care. Our stories aren't for us. They're for the country we fought for. Okay? If your country sends you to war, guess what? The story is for them too. It cuts through the Hollywood bullshit and the government bullshit. Movies and games make war look like a thrill ride or a tragedy. But they miss the real shit. The paperwork, the waiting, the friendships, the fear. When we would share the unfiltered truth, We give people a clear picture. Teaching kids history showed me how much civilians rely on media for their ideas about the military. Our stories are the real deal, the human side of service. If we rely on the media to tell civilians about war, civilians have no idea about war. Period. It becomes sensationalized, ratings-driven, commercial-driven bullshit. I'm surprised they haven't put sponsorships on military uniforms yet. I'm waiting for them to put a fucking giant Coca-Cola logo on a fucking drone. By the way, if you do that, I expect royalties. That's my idea. The truth builds bridges. The truth builds bridges. The gap between veterans and civilians is huge, but our stories help them understand what it's like to walk in our boots. They don't need to know every tactical detail, right? They're not going to understand that, right? Just the human stuff. Fear, loss, loyalty, hope. That's what makes our democracy work, our republic. People who get the real cost of the policies they vote for. Yes, I went all political science on you guys. Because remember, wars cost money. Wars are part of policy. People vote for people who are either for or against certain wars. Our stories also shape the bigger conversation. Politicians need to hear the ground truth to make better decisions about war, peace, or veteran care. And this is directly to policymakers. If you are planning a war, you better plan for veteran care. Because we're tired of having to fucking fight and scrounge for extra fucking dollars. Because you had trillions to fight the war, but only millions to care for us afterwards. We're literally sick and tired of that fucking bullshit. The fact that community care has to exist because the VA is so underfunded that there's not enough care facilities, doctors, nurses, and staff to actually care for veterans across this country is fucking gross. There's your policy right there. One veteran's story can shine a light on what's broken, whether it's the VA healthcare or mental health support. I've seen how a single voice could shift a room, whether it's a classroom or a town hall. Let's be clear. Sharing will challenge the stereotypes. People like their stereotypes. In fact, they love their stereotypes. They'll tell you they don't. I'm not racist. I don't mean to be racist, but everything after the but is about to be racist. They love their stereotypes. We're not all broken or brainwashed. We're regular people who served. Our stories show the full picture, the real picture. Not the one the government wants you to see or the media wants you to see. Grit, pain, and strength. That's how you honor sacrifice. Not with parades. We don't need no fucking parades. But with the truth. The truth about what happened. The truth about why we were there. The truth about Halliburton. The truth about BlackRock. The truth about why we actually wanted to remove Saddam from power. But he was an evil dictator. Okay. Sure. For our families, it's personal. The biggest reason to share, again, might be the people you're closest to. Keeping quiet can pass trauma down like a bad heirloom. Kids pick up on your tension, your distance, even if you don't say a word. My kids used to. They still probably do in some ways. Talking about it carefully at the right level shows them it's okay to face hard things. It teaches them coping skills. Teaches them resilience. It's how I want my kids to learn resilience. To understand why dad limps sometimes or gets quiet sometimes. I don't want them guessing. My kids know why I don't walk into a lot of crowded rooms. My kids know why I don't sit with my back facing the door. Right? They know those things. For Carrie, my wife, sharing gives her a map to my brain, to my head, as crazy as it is up here. Right? She lives with the fallout of what I went through. My bad nights, my jumpiness in crowds. When I open up, she gets why I'm wired the way I am. It's not just about the past. It's helping her understand the now so we can continue our relationship. We've been married for 16 years. So I'm hoping it's working. That's how we've built a stronger partnership, right? Our stories are part of our family's DNA. Hiding them leaves holes in who we are, and we don't want that. I want my kids to know their dad's service isn't just a chapter. It's part of what makes us us. It's not about giving them an extra burden. It's about giving them a legacy of grit, of survival. It's about showing them that they can do anything. Look, if dad can survive a war, shit, imagine the things you can do because you're better than me. My goal is to make my kids better than me. So I know some of you think, well, how do I start? What do I do? Right? Start small, start safe. You don't need to spill your guts to a crowd of people that you don't know. That's not what I'm saying. Write it in a journal first. In fact, I sell one on Amazon. I'll link it down in the description. I sell one on Amazon. I made a warrior's journal. It's a short book with places where you can write your story. I will link it down in the description. Maybe you talk to someone you trust, a spouse, a sibling, a battle buddy. For me, it was Carrie and a couple of my veteran friends. Shout out to them. They know who they are. You don't have to tell it all. There's some things I haven't told. Right? Pick a piece of your story, a moment, a lesson, and start there. You're in charge of what you share and when. It's like teaching. You build up to the big stuff. Find your way. Words aren't for everyone. I have, a lot of people have told me anyway, I have the gift of gab. I'm good at talking. And writing. Maybe you want to write a blog. If you do, let me know. I can punch you in the right direction. Maybe you paint or jam with the guitar. Maybe a vet group feels right where you don't have to explain the basics. For me, tying my story to history and teaching helped it make sense. Like, that was big for me. And then obviously doing this, my blog and this podcast is super helpful. Set boundaries. You don't owe anyone your pain. You don't owe anyone shit in regards to your pain. And that includes your loved ones. It's okay to say, I'm not ready to go there yet. Even to your spouse. Protect your headspace. You're in control. Say, hey, I think this is enough for today. I'm not ready to go further than what we've gone. Let's put a pin in this. I'll let you know when I'm ready to continue. Get help. Therapy is not a weakness. It's a tool. A good therapist, especially one who knows trauma, can guide you through the process. I wouldn't be where I am without mine. And mine's at the VA. I got lucky. Know your why. Why are you sharing? Are you sharing to heal, to teach, to connect? Knowing your goal keeps you grounded when it gets tough. So sharing just to share is fine. Like if you're like, hey, I want to share my story. Okay, cool. Why? Like, oh, I want other people to know my story because. Okay. Sounds like you want to teach. You want other people to know what you went through, what you experienced. Are you trying to connect to a certain group? Trying to teach? You're trying to heal yourself? Figure out your why. Because having a goal to meet, veterans especially, we like having a goal, a mission to meet. And then the steps attempt to execute that mission, to meet that goal, right? So that's a big one. And it could be a combination of things, right? Mine was to heal, it's been to teach, it can change, right? And that's okay. The bottom line, to conclude, okay? It took guts for all of us to wear the uniform, no matter what you did, no matter where you served. Y'all raised that right hand and you took that oath and you put your life on the line. But it takes a different kind of courage to come home and tell the truth. The raw, messy truth. It's not a one and done deal. It's a journey, right? And it's worth it. Like every time a veteran speaks up, we let in a little more light. We build a little more understanding, and we heal a little more. Step by step by step. We served our country. Now it's time to serve ourselves. Serve our families and our future by sharing what we've learned. Our stories aren't just ours. They're lessons for everyone. That's the teacher in me talking. Now I push it out to you to continue the conversation, right? This was a good one. Have you shared your story already? Have you found healing in it? What was your why? If you're comfortable sharing, down in the comment. Or are you still wrestling with whether to open up? How can we as a community help you open up if you want help opening up? You could just say, I'm not ready yet, and we'll support you, right? Or you could say, I want to, but I don't know how. And we'll comment, we can maybe give you some ideas. Hey, what are you good at? What do you like? Do you play video games? Do you stream? Right? Like I stream on Twitch. That's a good way to talk about it. You'll get some assholes that come in, fuck veterans. Then you can vent and be like, fuck you, I'll fuck you up. Stuff like that. It's fun. But either way, we will support you. Right? Because that's what this community is all about. We are here to build a community. We are here to build, at Veteran Perspectives, something real, something tangible, something fun, but also something that will help everyone connect with each other in a way that will help us all grow. All right, guys. I hope we enjoyed this episode. I am late uploading, so I don't know how much editing I'm going to do. I might skip the little intro song. That's probably going to happen. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Share with everyone. I will include the link to the blog, to the Etsy store, and the link to the Warrior Journal down in the description. Make sure you guys check all of those out. I will see you guys next time, and I hope you guys have a good one. Thank you.